Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday Blue Abroad show. Very, very excited to be bringing you this show tonight after a win. That is the most important thing here. The vibes are good. The vibes are very good in the house at the moment. There's a lot to dissect, and I thought it was time to bring back the Pom. So here he is in his brand new studio. Pom, talk to me, mate. What's happening?
Hey, not bad. Hey, I thought because we won, I'd come inside, get out of the house, and come inside back to civilization. Great to be back, isn't it? Hey, I mean, wins. How good are wins?
Wins are good. Wins are very good, and wins get the mood where it should be. And we should be winning.
We should be winning a lot of games, but getting the wins back, it's always good to just see a win, especially after the couple of weeks we've had. It's been a miserable couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It has. Before we get into the actual game, mate, look at you. You got your the tables have turned, mate. I'm sitting here with a T-shirt on, with my Sauvignon Blanc, and you're out here with your expressionist painting in the background. You got a jacket on. Talk to me about the move, because you're in a new home now. You've moved.
Yeah, we are in a new home, and I mean, tell you what, how far the Pom's come, hasn't he? I mean, 1 minute he's got the garish jumper on, which I was going to bring back tonight, but my wife told me to go with the dinner suit, so I went with the dinner jacket. So, looking very posh, eh?
I think Vincent van Gogh would be very impressed with that painting at the back, mate. I'm a big fan of that.
Wedding anniversary present from my wife. So that was actually the view I had in my nan and pop's place when we moved to Whitby. So that was the view I used to get. So Good bit of recon by my wife to get that painting commissioned.
No, she's done well. She's done well. Listen, we've got a big show tonight, brother. So strap yourselves in. We'll run a little intro and we'll get right into it.
Let's do it.
What's going on? Internet!
Martin's been very impressive.
Every single time.
They call the Carlton supporters, thank you for the love.
Nations playing Glasgow. And there's a magic moment. Ball inside 50. Control! He strikes it beautifully. He's got it.
All right, let's go. Let's begin. Before we do that, I want to thank the members of the channel, all 82 of you. Your support has been phenomenal over the journey, and you allow things like sponsorship to happen, player Guernsey competitions to happen, and the new computer operating system that will soon be in my studio here to happen. So thank you very much for that. I kind of wish I could get the camera and show you what I'm working with at the moment. It's very MacGyver, but it's working nonetheless. So I appreciate your support. Also, I need to shout out SG, who became a member during the fan cams, and I forgot to give SG the shout out. So SG, there you are. Pom, let's start, mate, because there's a lot to get through. I'm going to put all the names of the members down the bottom. But in the meantime, the first bit of news for the week, nothing new that we don't know, but it was Patrick Cripps committing. Let's talk a little bit about it. What was your reaction, and everyone in the comments watching tonight, what was your reaction to the 6-year deal?
I think for me, like, before you get into the idiosyncrasies of it, I think it was a relief, wasn't it? It was a lot's coming out of Prince's Park at the moment, most of it negative. It was just nice for one thing to be put to bed, one thing to be concerned about, will he or won't he? We know that over the weekend before it was announced, he had the radio show saying that Cripps is probably keeping his options open due to Carlton's form. So it was good to have that cemented, bit of a weight off the old fans' mind, probably the players' mind. And hopefully, that is a show of faith that might kickstart these boys to go up another level. Yeah.
I mean, I think my first reaction was, he's going to be a Blue for life. I understand the conversation around, you shouldn't be giving more than a, 3-4 year deal to players, and 6 years is a lot. But Cripps is, we have built this team essentially around Cripps. I know we all talk about Walsh, Wiedering, and Harry, but it's Patrick Cripps, and then the others have come along. So I think it needs to be spoken about, the fact that he's taken that cut He's led with his actions, and he's led with his actions to be selfless and put the club first. And he really could have commanded, $1 million a year on the open market. So the fact that he's done that, I think he's earned. I think he already had our respect, and I think he needs to be commended for that. I mean, his performances, we've criticised them over the last 18 months, but when you do something like that as the captain, that is real leadership. I would have loved for him to have done this, before round one, but it's done now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, I think it had to be done. It was probably perfect timing, wasn't it, for the club? If I was David Teague, I would have been quite happy because you saw the shift from the fans saying sack Teague to Cripps signing. So, I mean, if I was Teague, it was welcome for me. But, I mean, it's a great statement. If you look back at Luke Hodge when he signed for Brisbane, he went on record saying that was his highest contract he'd ever received and that he regularly took pay deductions to keep the list together, as did many of the top players. So it's probably something that if Carlton start to become a dynasty, which is what the whole aim is of this rebuild, that's going to have to happen all the time. Players are going to have to sacrifice to be part of something. So the captain leading the way there. And exactly here, as someone's just commented, Adonis is right. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cripps now go sole captaincy from next year. I wouldn't be surprised with that because I think that is a leadership quality there.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about that after the game, once we talk about the game, because I think that's, the leadership is something we speak about pretty much every week here, to be honest. So, I think that's a good notion there. It's good for him. It's good for the club. I've got a feeling that Sam Walsh is around the corner. I don't know why. Just got the feeling we want to get him locked away now because he is going to command a lot. It just seems like his price tag goes up by 20-25% by the week.
Yeah, I personally would say Sam Walsh would be the most expensive midfielder in the AFL on the free market. I think what he's doing now is already top 5 in the league. And the fact he's got another 10 years minimum of football, I'd imagine that if his name was ever floated on a trade table, it would command a hefty fee. I mean, that's a franchise player, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah, the way he goes about it, for sure. So it's exciting. We got it out of the way. Harry and co are done, and we can move on. And I guess Walsh is next. I'm not sure when he's out of contract anyway, but I feel like we want to get that extension done as soon as possible. And then really the spine is there. It's there.
Oh, I mean, if you can get, I think one thing that always makes me salivate is if we can get another year of Walsh improvement and you can somehow get Cripps to find that 2018 Cripps, which we saw smatterings of in the second and third quarter from Cripps, particularly that goal. If you can get them two firing, it's like we always used to say about 2018 Cripps, imagine Judd next to him. We're going to see that, aren't we? Because Walsh is baby Judd.
He is baby Judd. He is. All right, let's move on because a bit of an update on the external review. This is an interesting one. So the president, or the current president as it stands right now, Mr. Lejudicher, he released a statement to the members. To be honest, we probably had the news break here with Jake last week, who said that the mid-season external review hadn't begun yet. They were still obviously putting things together and whatever was the case. But long story short, the review begins today, Monday, the 28th of June. So it looks like it's going to take, I feel like this thing will take 6 to 8 weeks. And let's be honest, it's the end of season review. I just thought it was an interesting comment. What are you making of the process so far? There's not much to take of it, but what did you make of it?
I think the one thing that made me laugh was when Pavlich came out and said he's doing his via Skype. Because I was in a bad mood that day and I remember being in the car in the middle of the move and going, that sums Carlton up. We can't even do a review properly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Matthew Pavlich is going to spend 6 weeks and say Carlton need to change their internet provider. But it'll be interesting to see what it is. I mean, obviously, it's a big distraction, isn't it, for the players and the club? But it needs to be done. I do find it weird, though, that we've got Mark commenting on it. And I would have liked to have seen the new guy, Luke, be a bit more proactive and maybe comment on his own review. But, I mean, it's a weird one because it's a board full of consultants and we've got an external consultancy checking it. It's one of them weird ones, isn't it? But,
it's a very good point.
Carlton is the home and away of AFL, so nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah. I've been speaking to, and Pom, you're aware of this, and for you guys at home, I've done an interview. I told you guys that I was going to do an interview about the German fan model. So I've actually done the interview with Mr. Bernd Waller, who was the former president of VfB Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, and he was the chief marketing officer of Adidas. He's a big hitter, head honcho, and he was talking about his time as president of Stuttgart, and the reason why it was important, I thought, to have a conversation with him was because of the fan-driven model in Germany. And he was talking about the digitization of the fan and how board members need to find a way to stay authentic with their messaging. And it sort of got me thinking, I guess we'll have a chat with you. I mean, written statements, it's very 1990s. It's very old school. I just think there is an opportunity here to really get on the front foot in terms of, being innovative. And, we have video now. We're in the age of video, and you can see emotion and expression, and you can really garner authenticity through video. Why don't some of these board members just get in front of a video just for the members, put out a 2-minute video saying, this is what's happening, this is what we're working on? I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a shake-up.
Well, I mean, we said it off camera. It takes balls, doesn't it, to look that camera in the eye. And even though it's just you and me, and in reality it's me in a room, I'm watching this with, 500 people, with potentially 5,000 subscribers on Blue Abroad. It's a daunting prospect knowing that you guys are analysing everything I say, think and do. So I think that's part of it, because that's 80,000. I mean, can you imagine saying everything's going to be all right when Rome's burning down? It'd be quite tough, I'd imagine. So to answer your question, it's safe.
Pom, it's a big deal, mate. And that's what the Carlton Football Club is, mate. Yeah, it's ballsy, but that's what's required, no?
Personally, I would. If I was the new chairman, if it was Pom was the chairman, I would come out and I would do all my communications via video. I think it engages everyone. There's no way you can lose it in translation as well. You're hearing my words, you're seeing my words, and I can't say someone else wrote it for me and it was taken out of translation. But I mean, that's just me, that's just you. In reality, people like pen and paper, don't they? I mean, I'm surprised Carlton have advanced to email. I mean, I expect a carrier pigeon to knock on my door, but
yeah, I just found it very interesting. Just an update. I just think there's an opportunity there. I'm just noticing it, because I don't think any clubs do it yet. I think we could really be, groundbreaking in doing that in the way that we communicate, and I would love to see it. But again, maybe it's just a personal preference. I just think it's an opportunity for us to really find a way to connect back with board and fan. I think that would be one way to do it. But
I think with the fan forums as well, when you look at some of the ridiculous questions that come through, with all due respect to people, and some of them are like blatant moronic. I think if you actually had a system like this where you, me, and the fans could engage with Kane Liddell, it would be nice to see if anyone would have the balls to call Kane Liddell, a backstabber like he had last year with Sauce. Like, see if someone could actually go on camera and say, Kane, you stabbed him in the back. Like, exactly. I think it stops that as well, because we're going to get a lot more humble questions. So I agree with you. I'd love it.
Just an interesting one there. I thought I'd bring it to the table. The next item is the Carlton reserves. I don't know how much of the game you watched at home, but I watched the first quarter, and that was all I needed to see. And it just made sense that the Bull Ants won their first game against the Carlton reserves. We played, I don't know, it was just disappointing because we've got quite a few AFL listed players in that Carlton reserves team. So, I don't know, what do you think of that? Did you watch much of it?
I did watch it, yeah. Dodgily, I watched it on the dashboard in a truck as I was driving to and from. But less said about that, the better. I can't take any more points. But it's a tough one, isn't it? Because they are like the senior side, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
They are literally a microscopic version of the reses, of the seniors. It's like 1 minute they're brilliant, and then the next minute they can implode before your very eyes. There was some personal takeouts there. I mean, Ramsey again found a lot of the ball, and he looks like he's really developing into something of someone that we would have probably said this time last year might have been the worst of that collection. He's really come on leaps and bounds. But then there's a few players there, like, I don't mean to be nasty to Jordan Boyd, but I know people are criticising Lockie O'Brien, but when watching Jordan Boyd, I thought he made O'Brien look like Gaff.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked myself the questions there. Did we sign Boyd just to top up the VFL side, or is there an actual thing there? Because he's a small little half-back flank who can go on the wing. We've got a lot of them. Like, it's a weird one.
It was a weird one. I don't know. I just think, look, it's, you know, we have this ability now in 2021 to watch them on KO and on these OTT platforms, which is really exciting. But with that will come more, you know, scrutiny or support either way. And I think we're going through an adjustment period because a lot of these reserves players are now having a lot more eyeballs on them play. And I mean, I saw one contest, and maybe this is unfair on Lockie O'Brien because it was one contest, but there was one particular contest which actually turned me off the game. It was an uncontested mark. He was leading coming out of defensive 50. He dropped the uncontested mark. The ball spilt. The Bullants player picked the ball up, and then Lockie O'Brien tackles him, gives away a free kick for too high, and it was just like, Lockie, mate, you're playing the Bullants, who are already topped up with you know, local players, and it, you know, is it fair to expect more from our AFL listed players, you know, in this competition? I think it is.
Well, I mean, definitely. I mean, a good club, if you ever get to watch Richmond, you can see that a lot of their second grade players really, really in it, aren't they? They look exciting, where some of ours are so far away. It's a weird one, though, because like Lockie, he flatters to deceive, doesn't he? Sometimes you watch him in the VFL, and I was watching him and thinking, he's got to be here. And then he does, like you say, a loose tackle, or he thinks he's got more time than he's got and he gets crunched. And you're kind of like, oh, gosh. I mean, one person who did impress me, though, just quietly, and I haven't seen anyone talk about him yet, is Brodie Kemp. He played a quarter at fullback. And I'll tell you what, we were excited about him when we drafted him. He's quite an excitement. I like Brodie Kemp. And Durden, Mr. Blue Abroad, as I like to call him, tackle machine. So two players there to really look out for.
Yeah. Corey's always had that. Corey's always had that attack on the man and attack on the ball. He probably just needs to find the ball a little bit more. And then, I mean, to be honest, it was his second game back from the hamstring as well. You know, he's coming along nicely. I don't think we're in any rush with him, but yeah, hopefully he can, you know, put his hand up for selection later in the year and you know, jag a game, but earn a game. I don't want him to just get a game for the sake of it.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that, you know, we want to see. We want to see these players push players out, don't we? We want to see them. We saw I think Matty always is a great example. Do you know what I mean? He had some good games in the VFL, and he's now taking his opportunity. And if you remember last year, I think we'd all be honest, he didn't look like he could handle AFL football. And he's gone. He's learned his trade. And now you'd say he's easily a guy that you definitely have in your 22. He's a brilliant player. So the options there for the VFL boys. Yeah,
for sure. Got OJ Dumsday with an $8 donation. Just want to know how high the ceiling is for TDK when you talk about the seniors. All right, park that there, OJ. We will definitely get to that. We're going to go through. You know what? Let's go through the game. Let's go through it right now. The Carlton Adelaide recap. As we always do, Pom, I'm going to get you to talk about your high-level experience of the game, and you guys in the audience, 3 words to summarize the Adelaide game in round 15. Pom, what'd you see? What happened?
One good quarter against 3 poor quarters, wasn't it? But that one quarter, Absolutely splendid stuff, wasn't it, from the boys? 52 points in a quarter, the most we've ever kicked since the Bombers in 2012, 21. That was 63 points that day. So it was a domination. And I think one thing we saw about it was we heard Cripps say, play fun, have fun while we're playing. They looked like they were having a hell of a lot of fun about that out in the second quarter. But as usual, Carlton go back to that men behind the ball. We invited the pressure and we made it squeaky bum time, didn't we? When really that game should have been 60, 70 points. But I mean, you live, you learn. Am I getting excited about it? I'm not Joe's level yet. I'm not saying we'll play finals, but we got the win. We got the win. It wasn't pretty. There's still a lot of work to do, but we got to win. We got to win. That's the worst we can say.
Yeah, I mean, there was a notion. I was hearing it all week. I was hearing it all week about, we've got to lose. We need to lose. A win will paper over the cracks. Listen, I understand the sentiment and what it's coming from. I just think nothing in this, we can never, ever want to lose. Like, winning is everything. It just is, it just is. Winning is it was so necessary and needed for the fans, for the players, for the coaches, for the club. You don't want to be in a state of pressure to the level that we were in for too long, because that's when the walls cave in and you have fractions within the group and it just gets toxic. And, we needed to feel a win. And I just hope it's the start of something and it's not one of those, we needed to respond type wins and then we go back to our bullshit this week.
Spot on. I mean, it's one of them things about Carlton, isn't it? That they seem to need to be backs against the wall to give us what we need. And the first quarter, I was saying it on the live watch along, we should be 6 or 7 goals down. Now, a mark of the side is a side that an opportunity hasn't been taken by them. Now we take our opportunity, and teams seem to do it to us all the time. And I really wanted to see us do that, and we did do it. The one thing that left a sour taste in my mark is we didn't go the next level. I wanted to see us not throw air to the caution and really think, you know what, these guys are there for the taking. Let's give them a hiding. Let's give them a hiding and really back our system in. But that being said, we didn't. We got away with it. We probably dodged one, I think. But I was impressed in the second quarter when we needed them to. The top performers were Kennedy, Cripps, Stocker, Walsh, Williams, Sard and Wheaterin. And them two, particularly Wheaterin and Jones, probably won us that game at the end. So it's now about converting this. And it means nothing. I can't agree with Michael anymore. If we don't win next week, it means nothing. It's another one of them token wins where the pressure becomes 10 out of 10. We win, it goes down to 5, and then we lose again and it creeps up. We need to get another win and get the ball moving. And let's hope Joe doesn't look silly by saying 12 and 10, and let's really try and go for that, in my opinion, go for that. That should be the aim. That should be this team's aim.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I talk about it a lot. Like, okay, finals is out of the equation. It's all done and buried and all of that. But I just feel like personally you're either playing for the premiership now or you're playing for your next premiership. So every little moment, every little minute that we play in the AFL, every game that we play is an opportunity for this next premiership team to emerge and get some runs on the board. And I just think we can't afford to waste weeks. I don't want to get to round 23 like we have in years gone on and we just the boys have got their mind on holidays and it's a 10-goal loss to finish the season. It happens every year and it needs to stop. There needs to be, I feel, a bit of pride in every minute. And, okay, it's very disappointing that this year they didn't rise. Okay, fair enough. But that doesn't mean because we're disappointed this year that we throw our toys out of the cot and give up on getting better for next year.
Spot on. I mean, you've got to play to win. And, I mean, I'm still not on the Teague train. I think that if you watch that game back, again, structurally, we were poor. One good quarter plastered over that. But the mark of the man is if you've got the balls to do that again. And That second quarter was brilliant. It was almost textbook from us. And it's about learning to do that. That's the one thing that annoys me about this football side. We can do it in spurts, but good sides stagger their energy. And you could see that by the third and the fourth, we sat back, we invited the pressure, we had to run harder to make up for our structure. And there's the problem, because against a good side, they would have picked us off. So we've got to really take these opportunities now to really cement home the learnings. And until it's mathematically out of the equation, there's still a faint glimmer. I mean, we saw Uncle Joe. He drank the Kool-Aid, bless him. I loved it. It was my favourite moment of 2021. But he is right. That's what the players should be going for, and the coach. They should be going, you know what, if there's a chance, we do it. But I don't want to see any nonsense, though. I want to see them really go for it and really back themselves in.
Yeah. There were a few positional and a few moments and I guess notables, we'll call them, throughout the game that I want to bring up. The first one was Samo. Wasn't it good to see Samo playing in the midfield / forward line? And it all came about, there was a pre-game interview, which I only saw today. I didn't realize Teague had said this, but I should have the quote in front of me, but I don't. But long story short, it was about how the idea with Samo was he would go back and play an Andrew McLeod type role. And he said it hasn't worked out, or something, words to that effect. So they've put him back in his natural position. And I don't remember which exact moment in the first half it was, but there was a spillage. Samo gets it, lowers his eyes and hits up Matt Owies, who I think missed the shot on goal, but it was just a sign of that's Samo. That is literally Sam Petrevski-Seton at his best. I was hoping he would get a goal just to get the energy and the spirit back into him. But hopefully it'll come this week. But what did you think of the Sam Petrevski-Seton move?
Andrew McLeod. Jesus, we love a comparison. Oh, Jesus Christ.
On live television, he said it.
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, who would have thought that a guy that was noted for his ability to work on the ball and slot across half forward would be good as a midfielder? Regardless of what PR Carlton are saying, it didn't surprise me. He's a breath of fresh air. Dow and SPS are two kids that I don't think you cannot like, can you? I mean, he's a lovable guy, isn't he? SPS as well. Like, you see him, you like him, don't you? You like him when you look at him. And it was great to see him enjoy himself. And it was great to see 5 Indigenous boys all together as well. They really connected well. It reminded me, of the good glory days. So it was great to see. And yeah, let's hope he stays there, because we talk about Adam Chera. For me, SPS is Adam Chera. I don't see it, this Adam Chera love at the moment. I think whatever Chera can do, so can SPS. So SPS, I'm enjoying what he does, and his short kicks suit Teague's game plan for me. So yeah, it was great to see him back.
Yeah, I'm with you. The next one, it wasn't necessarily a positional change, but bit of pressure came on him. Mr. Balenciaga, Zach Williams. How did you find his game? I thought he was fucking sensational.
Well, I mean, that's what you pay for. And I thought what really impressed me about Zach is he's always going to come under a lot of pressure. He's always going to come under a lot of pressure because he's on a big deal at a big football club with fans who have absolute huge expectations. And then the poor captain signs for less money than he's on. I was thinking, poor Zach Williams, you'd hate to be him. But the model of the man is he stepped up. He stepped up and he gave us something. And that says to me, moving forward, it's going to be one hell of a footballer, because I'll tell you what, that took balls, that took cojones. So Balenciaga Williams over there, he did well. He did well. And it was good to see him, wasn't it? It was good to see him show us what we're paying for, and long may it continue. Let's hope to see more of these games, and it's not just that one game.
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, as much criticism as he has copped, I think it's been warranted. We are always going to get behind our boys, and I think, credit where it's due. I also think that he's able to deal with it. I don't think he's a guy that'll let that criticism crumble him. To be honest, I think he wanted that. I think that's what you sign up for when you come to Melbourne, especially when you come to a club like Carlton. And that is going to be the case with any well-paid marquee player that potentially comes to the club. We're a highly emotional club, fan base, expectations. We're in the biggest premiership drought in the club's history. The noise is getting louder and louder. And I mean, I don't think he shied away from it one bit. I just think he needs to find a way to just reduce the gap between his best and his worst. And I understand he had interrupted preseason, and that is definitely a factor. But at the same time, you know, the 22 to 26 possession game where he plays his best football and the 9 possession, 11 possession game where he plays his worst, it just can't be so much of a difference. He's got to find a way to just stay consistent with something. But I thought his work rate was there, and that's the main thing that we should be giving him, you know, praise for.
Yeah, I mean, he put a shift in. There's no doubt about that. He put a shift in. And, you know, that's the way we fall in love with you, isn't it? We're a club that demands expectation. And if we're not, we bloody should be. And if we're paying 800K or whatever he's on, we're expecting money back. And that's how you repay us. And it's easy for us to fall in love with you, innit? You have 2 or 3 games like that. Before you know it, we don't care what you're on. We're loving you. We're singing Zachy Williams running down the wing. We're in love. We're getting tattoos. Do you know what I mean? Pom's growing his hair out. That's what it's about. So good to see, and long may it continue, because we're a better team if we can find his best football.
100%. 100%. Now, on the other end, he has been suspended for a week, and maybe I'll just read the match report, the match review officer's report. There was a bit of a melee. Darcy Fogarty, he hits Jacob Wiedering after a mark, I think it was, and then all of a sudden Plowman's in, Doherty's in, Stocker's in, Williams is in. The result is Stocker's been charged. The following have been charged with engaging in a melee. Lockie Plowman, and he can accept a $1,000 sanction with an early plea. Stocker, he also got a $1,000 fine with an early plea. Doherty was the same at $1,500 sanction. I'm not sure why his was more. Jack Martin was also given a $1,000 fine. Darcy Fogarty, for those asking, was given a $1,000 fine. Sam Doherty was actually given another one for striking Riley Philthorpe. So that was a $1,500 fine. And then Zach Williams was given he was charged with engaging in rough conduct against Ben Keys during the third quarter. Long story short, he can accept a 1-match ban with an early plea. Now, we've seen the footage. He grabs his head and he throws it into the turf. I think it's there. I don't know what you think. What I saw was a guy letting his emotions spill over in the moment. And yes, you don't want to lose your players. But the same thing happened with Mitch McGovern early in the season with the little brawl they had against Essendon. He gave I can't remember who it was, but he gave him a jumper punch and he let his emotions spill over. And yes, I don't want to see Zach Williams get himself suspended, but I almost really enjoyed seeing him show some care. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't understand about the match review though is like what Tom Stewart did to Charlie Cameron was Chris Benoit-esque, and he got nothing. So I don't quite understand. I mean, yes, it shouldn't happen, but for me, I'm like you said in your review, I froth a bit of violence, fly the flag. I'll cop a goal as well because we conceded a goal from that and because no one got back in place. That makes us uncomfortable to play with. A lot of teams rough us up and think we're a soft touch. And players like Zach Williams are going to set that standard to other teams and say, we're not going to piss about. We're not here to hold hands and sing. We're here to play footy. So, yeah, it's a bit foolish. It's a bit stupid. But in my opinion, it's nice to see someone have a little bit of chutzpah about them. So I'll cop that. I'll cop the week.
Yeah, I'll cop the week as well. It's disappointing. I guess we'll talk about changes in a moment. Let's talk about the votes. Let's get the votes in. So, Pom, I need your 3, your 2, and your 1. And then you guys at home, please put your votes in the comments and I'll get them up here on the screen. Pom?
I thought 1 vote goes to Mercurial El Capitan, Patrick Cripps, that goal, man. I don't often get up and about and excited, as you all know. I keep my emotions in check, genuinely. But that did get me a bit excited. 2 votes goes to the greatest human being to ever live, Jacob Wiedering. That guy is a brick wall at the moment, isn't he? Absolute brick wall. And 3 votes. Like, I'm not a religious guy, but I've started to believe in the divine when I've seen this kid play. Sam Walsh, like, that is the second coming of Christ, is it not? How good is he?
How many times do we say it every week? I mean, he obviously he had his colours lowered last week, but, you know, he responded, and it was a good test for him. I like the fact that he was tagged last week, and I like the fact that it was tough for him. But the response was phenomenal. 38
touches, just lazy, isn't it? Just taking the piss out of him.
Yeah,
his old Sammy. Rate it.
Yes, no, I'm with you. I gave 1 vote to Balenciaga, Mr. Williams, and then I gave my 2 to Wiedering, and I gave my 3 to Walshy. But it's one of those games where we can give a notable. So while I'm getting everyone's votes up on the screen, who was your notable player? Someone who, you know, maybe hasn't been mentioned yet, doesn't necessarily have to have had the best game, but did something special during the game. Who was your notable?
Saad.
Okay.
Saad. I thought Saad changed the momentum of the game. I thought that goal, it was a big goal. I heard the crowd lift. The players seemed to lift. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. Well, there was a few, but Saad, yeah, sticks out for mine.
Yeah. I will give my notable to Mr. Nick Newman, because I don't think it can be understated how, I guess it's difficult to start as the sub. Mentally, you're just not as prepared to play as what the guys who are named in the squad are. Like, they know, the 22, that they're starting the game. Newman starts the game in a situation where he's like, I might play or I might not play. And I think the way that he carried himself, the way that he played, the attitude that he displayed, given that he started as a sub, he was ready mentally. And for me, that's a big tick for high performance, you know, being ready at any moment. And I thought he was phenomenal given the context of his situation. And I think he needs a big clap because he was great.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant. I thought, actually, as well, I mean, it was the best game Mark Murphy's played all year, turning into Nick Newman. Just quietly.
You motherfucker.
Had to get that in. But nah, Newman was good. He tell you what, that we have got a lot of talented little backmen, haven't we? So hopefully now we don't have to convert anymore.
Yeah. Liam Stocker, right? Now, Pom, you and I did a video when I first got back. It was end of 2019, and I believe I've got to go find it. I believe you made the comparison to Liam Stocker and Luke Hodge. Now, that might sound crazy, but I think he's better suited to this behind the ball role than what Samo was because of the long booming kick. The question is, how much do you keep him in this role before you move him to the midfield, if at all? Like, what do you think they're going to do here, knowing that they fucked up with Samo? That's just very clear now. So what is going to happen with Stocker here? Is this just a learning curve until Kemp is ready and then Kemp goes there?
You see, when I watch Stocker, I get what he's doing. I get why he's behind the ball. He's very intense. We saw that today as well. He really did get his head over the ball, and he's real physical. I actually think he is the next Ed Kerno. I think that's where he is. Thank you for reminding me. I drank the Kool-Aid as well, and I compared him to the great Luke Hodge. But it was weird because we talked about Luke Hodge, and I did watch that video back, so I know where it is. And we did say that you might start him down back and move him forward. So there it is. Teague stole my idea, so it's my fault. But no, I actually see him on the ball. I actually think that that's where he is. And I'd like to seek out and use him a bit like Matt De Boer, where you see De Boer has a set role when he's not tagging, and then he comes in to stifle you up a bit. Because at the moment, for me, I don't think Ed Kerno's offering anything to this side other than his ability to tag. And I think Stocker's got it. And I like Stocker because I've got a soft spot for anyone with a headband. So Stocker looked really good last week. He would have been another notable as well, just a bit stiff because I am falling in love with Sard.
Yes, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Look, can I just remind everyone how good it is to talk about this fucking team after a win? Goodness me.
I've got to keep a lid on it because I'm trying not to get the Kool-Aid out. But I'm doing a good job.
Oh, we've still got 20 minutes.
Don't worry. There'll be a quote, won't there? We're talking finals football or something. It'll come out.
Yeah. All right. Now, that'll do for the game. That'll do for the game. We're going to talk a little bit about a high-level conversation here. It's about the rebuild and where we are at. Now, Pom, you're going to take control here. I've got what for the viewers at home, what we've done is there's been conversations about the list profile and where it's at and comparing us to other teams with a similar list profile. So, Pom, you take control and you tell me which graphic you need up and I'll put it up.
So we'll bring up the Carlton versus Adelaide graph first. So a lot's been talked about in the last couple of weeks, months, about where Carlton's rebuild are. So if you want to sit yourselves down, get a drink of Kool-Aid because you may get Kool-Aided. But this is it. And as you can see, Carlton are substantially more experienced and they are substantially better equipped to win. That makeup of a side there would suggest to me that Carlton should win by a long way because the experience is in the right area. And genuinely 100 to 149 games is where the top teams have. Now, if you put us next to, let's say, Melbourne, have you got that slide? Here's Melbourne. So Melbourne we've seen. They're a lot younger than us. Now, something that's really interesting about Carlton is our age is stuck between two players, and they're Eddie Betts and Mark Murphy. It is a little bit like Commodore 64 graphics. Well done, Aaron. And we're vintage here. We're retro. Now, if you look at Carlton and we get rid of this and we show Carlton minus our senior players.
Carlton
minus the senior players. So
for the Melbourne comparison?
No, for us. So Carlton without their senior players. It was the last slide I sent you.
I don't have it. Yeah, it's not here.
What? Don't worry. We can make that happen. We can make that happen, Tez.
Make anything happen, mate. Send it to me. Actually, I can grab it up. But continue with what you're saying, and I'll grab it up.
Yeah, so this is what Carlton look like if we compare them to the Baby Bombers. So if we compare them to the Baby Bombers, I will send that to Tez now. Now, the Baby Bombers are the team that everyone's giving the hype to. Everyone's going on that these are the best side in the comp, the best young side. You see that our makeup there isn't too far away from them. You can see the age is the same. You can see everything else is the same. And this is a team that all we've done here is drop Mark Murphy for Nick Newman. And we've got rid of Eddie Betts and we've brought back Charlie Kerner. And we've got rid of Ed Kerner. And now Stock has taken that position. And we've brought in one of our young players. So we brought in Corey Durden for this example. And you can see that Carlton are in that perfect age, bracket. So we know the media at the moment are saying that Essendon are the best young side in the comp. It shows you there that our rebuild is kind of flawed at the moment when the press are saying we're one of the oldest sides. I've seen that being mentioned the last couple of weeks. Everyone's saying Carlton are the oldest side in the comp. It is true. Our nucleus, though, is literally contained in them two players for games and experience. So it does say to me, we get this right. And if Teague is the man to lead us forward, he sorts this out next year, I would expect to see us go really up a gear. Now, if Teague's the man to do that, that's it. But you've got to ask yourself the question. There'll be a point where he's got to look at Mark Murphy, Eddie Betts, and Ed Kerner and say, is it worth playing 6 games of these younger guys and get them ready for next year? Because eventually That's why that list is so high, because these young players haven't taken them positions.
So I'm just going to put a few others here that this is teams that are sort of, quote unquote near us this week. This is Fremantle.
So you can see that Fremantle, very similar in average age, very similar in games, but you can see there that they're blooding their youngsters a lot more than us. As you can see, we've got a few players down in that 100 to 149 category. Ed Kerno's one of them. And you can see there that they're really getting them young players in through their system. But you've got to remember, and I always say this, look at Essendon, the young players they're blooding through the system, and remember the young players we had.
Yeah.
They've got a lot better talent. But you can see here how it works, that this could shift. This could shift. But you can see Gold Coast here, a team that Kane Corn said gets a lot of abuse. Stewie Dew was getting unnecessary abuse. You actually look at this, and he said that it was because they were so young. 10 months different, and one 200 gamer away from us. You give them a 200 gamer, their list profile at this stage is the same as ours.
Let's have a look at Brisbane. Brisbane's always an interesting one because we started our rebuild after them.
So you can see here, Brisbane, they are almost identical to us, just a bit less games played with us. And this is where they've done something totally better than us. In their formative years, what they did was they really blooded their youngsters. They stuck with their youngsters and they persevered a lot longer than Carlton. They didn't shift their game plan. So you can see, in my opinion, had we not gone senior players and got blinded by that 2019, potentially this is where it is, because that year was the year that they went up and that's the year that we regressed. So there is chance there, but we've got to do it.
It's hard though, because, at that time, Pom, it was 3 wins from 44. It was, it was just getting too much and it was unprecedented. It was Fitzroy, the comparisons. And I know looking back now, it's very easy to say we should have stuck the course, but at the same time, very much like on the weekend, we needed to see wins, it's just, you know what it does? It opens up the can. Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. But for me, I think that Chris Fagan was the right choice. And I think with Carlton, I think Bolton, getting rid of Bolton was unequivocally the right choice. But I do think we should have brought someone in that Fagan mold that had years and years and years of experience working with youngsters in and around football clubs. But obviously now we've made our bed and everyone's on the teak train, aren't they?
Well, are they?
we know I'm not, but I don't want to be negative after it. I don't want to bring you all down. But for me, what I'm trying to say and what the point I want you to get across is the player profile at the moment is prime. Yes. So there is no excuse. If this side doesn't make the 8 next year, absolutely, it is an aberration, because this side should be miles ahead of where it is. Because whatever you think about this side, it's a talented boys. You saw last week as well, the reason that second quarter was good, 1.4 kick ratio. It's the lowest we've been. We handballed more than we did all year. The 2 quarters, we got absolutely battered. We went to 2.8 kick ratio, nearly kicking 3 times as much. That is where the system goes unlocked. So it is definitely the system. The swings happened. There's a huge problem. But all these young teams are utilising that handball. That's where our talent is. And there is a good young talented list there. Yeah. So let's see if it happens.
No, there's a good point to be made there amongst all of that. In that, at the beginning of this, it was all about, we've just got to get these kids to 50 games to 100 games in that bracket when that sweet spot happens. And let's push it forward. Let's say the 80 to 120 game mark, right? They are there. They are there now. Paddy Dow was drafted in 2017. He just played 50. Like Walsh has just played 50. It's the Samo, Fisher, which we know Fisher's been injury prone. We know Samo's been made into Andrew McLeod. I think that Harry, Wiedering,
That's
Charlie.
brilliant. Someone said that.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, and there are comments here that we said that last year. We did say it last year, like it had to be 2021 for sure. But even more so, it has to be 2022. So this is where I get a little bit stuck because it's like, do we keep the standards? Or do we have to be realistic and drop our standards? Because I feel like if we drop our standards, it's just going to keep getting worse, and we're going to allow it to happen. And I don't like Aaron here is saying we're the Melbourne of last year. Well, no, how are we the Melbourne of last year? We didn't make finals with this group, you know.
I think a huge thing about Melbourne and us is if you look at Melbourne's system, everyone talks about Choco, but Choco's added two things to them. One, their positioning around the contest, which incidentally, Carlton in the second quarter rotated more there around the contest positioning than we did in the other 3 quarters combined. So you saw what they did, that's what they did. And also their spread from their contest is totally different. That's all Choco's done. 2 fundamentals. What you're talking about with Carlton is you saw effectively 3 game plans in one game. And the only game plan that worked, we only used for the shortest amount of time. And that game plan, incidentally, was the game plan we got excited about when we saw against Essendon and St Kilda. It was that very quick, very utilising the handball and the run and carry. At the moment, if you watch the fourth quarter back, where I thought we really struggled, they've got to run so hard because the distance from each other is so far that they have to close down space they don't have to. And a good side just kicks it round, pockets it round. 12 uncontested marks inside 50 we conceded is an aberration. And to me, that is where we're going to really struggle. That is where we're going to struggle moving forward. I hope I'm wrong and I hope Teague gets it right. But that is a concern because a good side would have destroyed us in that fourth quarter.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm starting
to be a downer. You made me do it.
No, look, it's real talk, man. It's real talk. It's not about being a downer. It's real talk. We can't get carried away with that win. The problems are still there. They haven't changed. The way we play is patchy. This group so much more talented, or maybe we're just wrong. Maybe they're not talented. Maybe we think they're talented because it gives us an out and it gives us a reason to hold them to expectations. But I just, it's just so funny once you start talking about it. And I'm sure this happens. What happens to me, like whenever I have a conversation with anyone about the club and what's going on, you end up just going into this cycle of development, coaches, assistants, culture, sauce. It's just it's fascinating, and we're in this like merry-go-round, mental merry-go-round. It's fascinating, and then it's about.
To me, if you want to get excited by something, second quarter we had the most forward 50 marks that in the AFL this year, equaling the Doggies game versus the Kangaroos. In a quarter, we had the highest uncontested possession ratio in the AFL this year, on par with Richmond and West Coast. So to me, that is a huge thing. You actually saw our system stacked up against the best, but we haven't recorded a 1.4 kick to handball ratio all year. But we suddenly do. We kill it. So David Teague, if you're watching, the kick game, this side is the worst kicking side in the AFL. I can tell you now, even if we got the best kicking coaches, they'll never improve. It's a native inherent gift. The reason that kicks worked in the second quarter is because they were kicking to space, because that handball opened up pockets of space which kill us. So moving forward, we've got to utilise the handball to get them kicks. When he's kicking at 2.8, that's obscene. That's nearly 3 kicks to one handball. You saw what happened. We just give possession back. We invite pressure, and that kills us. So for me, that game plan has to go. And if it doesn't go, I guarantee you this: David Teague will not be here this time next year. That game plan doesn't go, and I guarantee that.
So it's an evolution. Well, you're right. I mean, there's an evolution that needs to happen. So it's not necessarily to become North Melbourne and what they tried to do a few years back, but it's just to balance it out a little bit better.
I think if you look at someone like Pep Guardiola gave a great interview 2 years ago. I'll find it and I'll post it in the Blue Abroad group. But he talked about his tiki-taka and then coming to England where football's played properly. It's not played like in La Liga. They hurt people. It's tough. It's archaic almost. It's physical. And he said he had to shelve his arrogance and adapt a more direct game style. And that was something he's been against his entire career. He's poo-pooed on the English way, but he's adapted himself to it. I think if Teague wants to play a kick game style, that is great. But you've got to shelve your arrogance and be like, this is how I want to play, but maybe I want to play for wins. And I'm telling you now, we average 1.8, 1.9. You don't have to go crazy with a handball to kick, but try and be a more myriad of a Western Bulldogs. Very similar makeup in skill set to our players. It hides poor talent as well, the handball. Just go for it. Just go for it and do it. Like, I would sell my morals as a coach to win games. Like, I've got an idea that I'd like to play, but you've got to play to win. And unfortunately, if Teague was coaching West Coast, they'd probably be top 4. He's coaching Carlton Football Club, though. These boys have been picked for a system where Bolton liked the handball. He comes from a side that utilises it. He likes that, and that's something that Clarkson uses a lot to open pockets of space so they can play their kick mark game style. So I think that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do. And Teague, I'm sure he's a great bloke. I'm not bagging him, but I still don't think... I think he's on the mystery machine. He's got so little Scooby-Doo at the moment. He's literally on the mystery machine.
Yeah. I mean, I think also the handball game engages the players that we have. It creates energy. I find personally the best teams in the league are the ones that are able to handball their way out of chaos. That's generally when they've got more composure. Whereas we and the lower teams are the ones that just bang it on the boot, out of stoppage, out of defensive 50.
Spot on. And everything we do is we give the ball back to the oppo. So this game plan is literally invite pressure, and our team can't handle pressure. Like, honestly,
that's just a fact.
Like if we were sand, we'd be diamonds by the end of the game. That's how much pressure we take. So I just think play the percentages, and someone's got to explain it to me, but it is so piss poor, and it's so obvious. And that's why we were tense third and fourth quarter, because you saw the mannerisms of the boys. Now, I beg everyone, go watch the second quarter. About 5 minutes into it, there's smiles, there's laughs. There's a wonderful passage in the stoppage that Kennedy stops the ball coming out, and the boys are picking him up, giggling like, yeah, this is it. This is football. Watch the third quarter when they come out. They look shit scared. They look like they haven't got a belief anymore. But they have just destroyed Adelaide. They have made them look amateur. And we had to cling on. And the problem is we've got the top 2 defenders at the moment in the round, intercept and spoils. That won't happen every week. Every week that won't happen. It's impossible. So against a good team, we're going to get found out. But that handball, it keeps us in position as well because they move up in stages. It's pretty. I love it. Bring the handball back.
Love it. Love it, Pom. Love having you back on the Monday show. It's always good to reconnect with you, the OG of the Blue Abroad channel. Big week ahead, guys. The Jumper Punch boys have got some news. Well, I'm filtering news from them. The mics were working. The mics are up and about. There will be elite sound for the show tomorrow. Hopefully we get it up in time. The Jumper Punch will be up tomorrow night. Before that, tomorrow morning, the Almost Blues Brothers podcast, the audio podcast, will be up from 7 a.m. Wednesday night, we've got the Blues Footy Podcast boys live. And then Saturday morning, 9 a.m. with Riley and his show as well. So exciting times for For those on YouTube, you'll see the merch link in there. I might put it in one more time. Look at me getting all Carlton Pom. Look
at him. 1 minute he's presenting this show from the McDonald's in the middle of a minefield, and now he's dropping merch. What's going on?
It's been a great journey.
Look at him. He's got candles in the background and a fake plot plant.
Hey, no fake plants in my house, mate. That is a real plant with real life. I don't do fake plants, mate.
Shut up. Is it really?
It's real, I promise you.
No way. Tell you what. Tell you what, you've been looked after too well.
I have been looked after. The candle is a gift as well, so I've been looked after a lot. So there's a link in the comments now, guys. Check out the merch if you're down. The Jumper Punch merch will be added to that shortly. We're just waiting for a little bit, but that will come as well. And it'll be just a new era for the channel. And I'm excited. So I'll see you tomorrow. Pom, love you. Also, before you leave tonight, go and subscribe to Pommy and Oz on YouTube. Let's get him to 2,000 subs before the end of the year. I think that's reasonable. And yeah, good night, Pom, and good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.